Welcome to another episode of the Miami Real Estate Show. Today, I have the pleasure to interview Ugo Colombo, the developer responsible for many of the most luxurious residential buildings in Miami. Actually, not even buildings, landmarks in Miami. For example, Bristol Tower, Santa Maria Building in Brickell Avenue, Grovenor House in Coconut Grove, Porto Vita in Aventura, and many more. This interview is packed of South Florida history and how he became so successful in the development industry in South Florida. I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I did. Without further ado, I leave you with the interview with Ugo Colombo. Make it a very, very great day. Take care, guys.
This week's feature property will be one of the tallest buildings in Miami at a height of 750 feet and 65 floors. Brickell Flatiron, developed by the renowned developer Ugo Colombo. The tower, made of soaring glass, defined by sweeping exposures, enhances the skyline with persuasive curves, conveniently located at the corner of Brickell Plaza and 1001 South Miami Avenue. In the heart of the Brickell, situated within walking distance of Mary Brickell Village and Brickell City Center, offering residents unparalleled access to a wide array of fashionable conveniences, cafes, fine dining, shopping, markets, outdoor, and cultural activities along the way. This is a truly magnificent tower that you don't want to miss. This ultra-luxury condominium will offer a business center, private movie theater, children's room, billiard room, cigar room, and an amazing sky spa, gym, and pool located on the 64th floor. For more information, contact Christopher Suarez at 305-915-9471 or see Suarez at brickellflatiron.com.
Welcome to another episode of the Miami Real Estate Show. Today, I have the pleasure and honor to interview Ugo Colombo, the developer for Flatiron. And we're here in the beautiful sales offices. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure to interview you. I want to see the mind, the vision behind not only Flatirons, but so many interesting and beautiful buildings in Miami. So let's get started. Ugo, what's your background? How long have you been in the development business, and why real estate?
Well, my family background is not real estate. You know, my family were in chemicals and plastics material in Italy. But, you know, I came to Miami to go to University of Miami just to get an American education. And then after being here for the college year, I kind of grew enamored with Miami, even though 30 years ago was a different Miami.
Yes, it was.
And I decided I wanted to stay. And you know, the real estate of the Miami back then in the late 80s was starting to come off a cycle, you know, a recessionary period. And so there was a lot of opportunities in real estate, and I started buying and selling, and one thing led to another. And you know, from buying and selling apartments to buying and selling block of apartments to buying a building to buying a piece of land and developing a building. And
so you started very small, buying some few units. And
yes.
And what was your first big project?
The first big project was well, the first big project, which really nobody knows much about it, was the purchase and renovation and sale of the Villa Regina building on Brickell.
Oh, really?
Which is that building in
yes,
all
which
colors,
I read about in your bio, in your website.
Including the challenge of repainting it.
Okay, which is a huge building too.
Yeah, it's a huge building.
Yeah.
By the way, we purchased 2/3 of the building.
Okay.
From the FDIC.
Oh wow, interesting.
Because the bank. There was a bank failure, and the bank owned the building, so the FDIC took over the bank, and then, you know, I purchased together with the partner the inventory from the FDIC. So that was the first real estate venture.
The acquisition.
Acquisition, renovation, construction, because there was a lot of work that needed to be done in the building, and you know, and then the sales.
Now, in that whole process, before we go into your past projects, which I want to talk about, did you have any mentor, any person that taught you the real estate market, or you went into this and had success from the beginning?
I had different people. I had many mentors, and I had, I tend to sometimes sit back and look at people and see how they act and see what makes them successful and learn. And I had some good I don't want to make names, but I had like maybe 3 or 4 people that I consider my mentors, and in different areas, and they, I think I learned a lot from them, and they, I don't know, out of friendship, out of...
What do you learn from those people? Especially 1 or 2 things that come and that have helped you become such a successful developer in Miami?
Well, I think the first of all, you need to recognize those people that you call as mentors being your true friends, and looking at helping you without an agenda, without they're just your friends, and they like you, and they want to help you without really a return on it. And they generally are people that are older. They were older than me, so they had more experience. They had with age comes experience, and so I learned and
became the person that you are today.
Yes.
Now, once you had the Villa Regina, what was your next big project?
The next big project was Bristol Tower.
Yeah, that was an amazing building. Still is an amazing building.
Which was, I mean, I don't know if I look back, I think I was crazy, but
why?
Well, you're like late 20s, early 30s. You buy a piece of land, you decide to build a 40-story building with twice the size units of anything seen in Miami.
That was the biggest development at the moment.
That was the biggest development at the moment, with private elevators, with features that were not really, you could see in other cities, you could see in Europe, in New York, but they were not common for Miami. And but that was not the point. I mean, the point was, buy a piece of land and build a building that size without any really prior background and or experience. And I think I've been lucky in choosing the right people to work with, and as far as construction, as far as sales, as far as which some of these people have been, in a sense, my mentors, and I was lucky in finding people that worked with me and helped me through through the development, the whole process, and they turned out to be successful.
Now, was Bristol, because to my knowledge, Bristol Tower was a very successful development from the beginning. Was something completely new. The luxury of that building was second to none in Miami. Was it difficult to sell at the moment because it was something different?
Yeah, obviously, those were different times, and I will get back there to those times. But you would sell a building during the construction phase, and hopefully get with the building by the completion with 80 to 100% sold to the building, not pre-sell the whole building before you even start, because that gives you also a chance of showing the product and showing what you're doing and having people appreciate and touch and feel what the product is, rather than just looking at it on paper. Miami back then was considered that luxury was houses, and apartments were just square utilitarian boxes. There was no luxury apartments per se, but me particularly coming from Europe, where everybody lives in an apartment. Because, you don't have houses in Milan for one, Paris. You have a few in London, but I mean the living standard is an apartment, and there are luxury apartments.
So actually, you became a pioneer in Miami.
Yeah, maybe at the time was I was.
And then after Bristol came what building?
After Bristol came Santa Maria and Porto Vita.
At the same time?
Yeah, they were actually Porto Vita started first.
Okay.
And Santa Maria. Back then, I worked with I was partnered with Porto Vita with the sofas.
Okay, right.
And which we have the same philosophy on high end and luxury.
And that's a key point that I want to get out of you in the interview. It's just, what's the philosophy that makes those buildings so truly unique. I mean, those are the most luxurious buildings in Miami, and they become landmark. Porto Vita, it's a landmark in the area of Aventura, and Santa Maria, it's been a landmark for the Brickell skyline for a long, long time. So what's that philosophy that you use?
Well, with the philosophy of that, there is a group of people that are looking to live not in a house, but in an apartment and have the same the same spaces that you would have in a house, but with the added amenities, the security, and the convenience of a building. Mm-hmm. And yes, you say I've been a pioneer, but I've been maybe a pioneer in Miami because Don Sofer did the same thing at the time with the Tamberi Isle.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, and then, we got together, and, that's how Porto Vita came about. It was a combination of his experience in the Aventura area, mine downtown, and so we developed Porto Vita, and at the same time I moved forward with Santa Maria on Brickell.
And what do you look in a building when you're building Bristol, Porto Vita, Santa Maria, Flatiron, Grovenor House? I mean, those are very, very unique buildings. What do you look for when you say, okay, I not only bought this piece of land and I want to make X amount of money or return on my investment, but what is it a successful developer like you looks for in those buildings?
Well, I'm looking at exceeding what my competition is doing.
Okay.
And it is sometimes difficult to gauge before the building is building, but then it gets appreciated when people take delivery of their apartments, and I think that is why you see the buildings that I've done holding their value better than other buildings, because they are finished and they are done without cutting corners.
Now, so we have those buildings. Then after Porto Vita, I guess, came Grovenor House.
Yes.
Okay. And then after Grovenor House, and then Epic, right? Which is another...
There was Epic, yes.
Okay.
And then there were other pockets like, the Casa Grande on Ocean Drive, the Waldorf Tower on Ocean Drive, Beach House 80 is under construction now on the beach. The Collection was another...
The building did a huge...
Even though it's not a condo, but...
It's an office building.
Yeah, the Collection has been... over 95% rented since the day it got finished. So
it's a prime Class A office building.
Yes, even during the recession, we never lost a tenant.
Okay. How do you think about the recession? How do you see jumping before we go into Flatiron on your future projects? How do you see the real estate market in Miami over the next 3 to 5 years evolving?
Well, my view, obviously, if I had a crystal ball, but
long-term view.
But my long-term view is that Miami has been a steady market since the beginning of the 90s, where it increased in value and the property values improved, a little bit every year, until we got to 2008, and then 2008 there was Prior to 2008, there were a couple of years where money became too easily accessible. Banks lost all kind of regulations. That caused a wave of newly born developers with easy access to money, which in turn caused an oversupply of units with the ability to fund it. So it caused an oversupply of construction. And then the market collapsed, but not the real estate market collapsed.
The economy.
The economy, the financial market collapsed and left on the market a number of built units without buyers, which caused an oversupply compared to demand and consequently a drop in prices. The drop in prices caused a very quick return of demand, which made the market jump back up
immediately. I mean,
almost immediately. Right now, so the inventories got absorbed. Now there is a lot of projects on the table. But what is different now from the mid 2000s or the other crisis is the money supply is not there. Banks are not financing. So even though there is a lot of projects on paper, you don't really see that many cranes around Miami. The cranes you see now are very different than what you used to see. There is, yes, a lot of sales, a lot of units for sale. There are some projects under construction, but there is not there is an oversupply of planned units, but there's not an oversupply of units being built. Right. And I think the market will adjust itself, and the pace of construction will keep with the demand. So supply and demand will equalize themselves, and hopefully, will continue as a healthy market from here on.
I completely agree. I think that the fundamentals of the Miami real estate market are there. The type of buyers we're getting now, it's not only from South America and Europe. We're also getting the buyers from the north, from California, because of tax reasons, entertainment we now have in Miami, and definitely we have more stable buyers, which makes it much easier.
Yes, that's the other side. Right. But one piece is what I was mentioning is the law of supply and demand, right, where I don't think we will see an oversupply of built units. On the other hand, Miami is one of the three major cities in the United States and has become a major destination, a world city, and we're getting more and more buyers and people that want to live in Miami from all over the world. Miami was kind of limited to mainly the South American market, which is still, very strong, but you have interest from all over the world. And so, the combination of there will be more demand because there's a lot more people that will want to come to Miami, and I think we will have a steady supply without getting into an oversupply.
One question about Brickell, real quick, because before jumping into Flatiron in your future projects, it's why Brickell? Because you built so many, primarily in Brickell. Why Bristol, Santa Maria, Flatiron? Why is Brickell such a special place for you?
I don't know. I lived in Brickell when I was going to college.
Okay. So you like Brickell, and
I could have picked any other, but
Okay, I got it. Now.
Yeah, I wanted an apartment. I didn't want to live in a house. It was the closest place to UM. Right. And so maybe I have somewhat of a sentimental attachment.
Soft spot for Brickell.
Soft spot for Brickell, and I always saw a great development potential because you're close to the UM, the Gables. You're close to the airport. You're close to Miami Beach. Back then, Miami Beach was nothing more than a place to go for dinner or Miami Beach was not what is today. And so I don't know, I concentrated my effort here and,
it paid off.
Yeah, paid off.
Now, what about Flatiron? I mean, this is an amazing project. Why makes Flatiron so unique and stand out from all the buildings in Brickell?
Well, I think the building is, first of all, is the height of the building. It's difficult to realize it here, but the building will truly stand out.
How many feet?
It's 650 feet tall, which is like a couple of feet shy of the Four Seasons. Okay. And if you look at the Four Seasons, it does stand out.
Oh, definitely.
So, the building will stand out. Okay. And the additional height came with a substantial cost because the structure is a lot more complicated the higher you go. But I wanted to have some fantastic penthouses with clear view all around. I wanted to have the whole, I dedicated the whole roof, top floor, to spa, gym, swimming pool. So I made that a communal part of the building where, I could have put a great penthouse there, but, it's part of is sharing. The best part of the building, I decided instead of making it private, to share it for everybody in the building to enjoy. Yeah, to make it a common area. Okay. The building is complicated because of the roundness and the intersections in the balcony.
How many units in the building?
There are 549 units.
Okay.
It has a parking ratio that's higher
which is
than,
very important. Okay.
Yes, there's a lot of parking.
Okay.
I decided to, I could have cut a couple of floors by code. I could have cut a couple of floors off from the parking, but I know that parking is always a challenge, so I decided
in the area, it's always,
to have more parking rather than less. Financially, it's not the wisest thing, but again, those are things that then when people move in the building will appreciate.
I was talking to your sales team today, and they were giving me a great presentation. It's not that we don't know it, we know very well the building, but they were talking about some technological features that the building has that are very, very interesting. You can open the door with with different with your cell phone, etc. So
all the doors will be electronically controlled. I mean, someone can always
with a key
put a deadbolt if they want, but so you can get access through the NFC in your phone. You can give access to someone else if need
limited
be.
Access if you want.
Yeah, you can limit an access. You can just have access to someone for an hour. So that's it's new technology. We're living in in the late. I've always been sort of a technology enthusiast. So there is a lot of what you see in today's world, where your cell phone really becomes an integral part of your life, and I assume that everybody living here will have a smartphone.
No, definitely. Now, let me ask you the final question for the interview. It's what projects are in the future for Ugo Colombo?
I am working on, and actually we'll open the sales office shortly. We sort of have it, the soft opening is the new building in Coral Gables called Collection Residences.
Okay.
I have the Collections car dealership in Coral Gables.
One of the most famous dealerships, I think, in North America.
Thank you.
It is.
So I acquired the mirror image land next to it, and I'm going to do a building similar in size to what the Collection building is today, but instead of doing offices above, I'm going to do 124 apartments. So the ground floor will be partial the Collection, some retail, a couple of townhomes. Okay. And then above it will be a building with high-end large residences, 3, 4, 5, some 6,000 square foot units.
6,000 square feet condominiums.
Well, there's 3 of them. There's only 3 of them in the building, but all private elevators, all the amenities and gadgets that I could think of. Okay,
and going back to the interview, when is that Flatiron going to be finished?
Well, we're looking at groundbreaking. We just got all the permits.
Perfect.
Finally.
Okay. Good.
So we're looking at groundbreaking after the summer. Say by the latest by the end of the year. Okay. I mean, it also depends when you've been groundbreaking. One thing is digging a hole, and one thing is actually coming off the ground. So we'll start coming off the ground by the end of the year. Okay.
And then roof top off?
And then it should be about 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Okay, so that's what is it? 2000.
So 3 years from now.
3 years from now, you will start delivering units.
Yeah.
Perfect. And the price per square foot, we will have all that information in the interview and in the footnotes of the interview. But I think it's an amazing project. I want to thank you for having me in your sales office.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank your sales team for having me here today, and Ugo.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, okay? Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Right? Until next time, make it a very, very productive day. Take care, guys.